There is a supernatural world that surrounds us, and sometimes it manifests to people like you and me. You'll hear stories about this and so much more right here on Supernatural Confrontations. Welcome to Supernatural Confrontations. I am your intrepid host. Today we go back. I actually recorded this perhaps almost a year ago. The woman's name is Marina. She claims to be some sort of a hybrid entity, a star child, something like this. Watch the interview. I think you'll find it amazing, and we'll get into that. But first, a word from our trusted sponsor. Before trying anti-aging serums or wrinkle creams, check if you're getting enough collagen first. Collagen is a protein that plays a crucial role in maintaining the health and elasticity of our skin. Without it, we may notice visible signs of aging, like fine lines and wrinkles. While collagen production naturally declines as we age, certain collagen supplements can help bring back a youthful glow like you wouldn't believe. This is why I highly recommend taking collagen. Collagen is specially formulated to enhance skin elasticity and hydration. It's made with the top 5 most powerful types of collagen that are essential for skin health, elasticity, and firmness. Folks, with only 10 grams of bioactive collagen peptides per serving, collagen is designed to make it easy to boost your collagen levels to support healthier skin. Try it today and receive 53% off, free shipping, free VIP live health and fitness coaching for life. What a great deal! And also a free new e-report titled The 14 Foods for Amazing Skin, and a 60-day money-back guarantee. So folks, if you don't see it working, they'll give you your money back. Plus, you'll also help feed a hungry child, families and communities in need of healthier lives with your order through BioTrust partnership with NoKidsHungry.org. What a great company. Check it out today. Go to healthwithla.com, healthwithla.com, or please click the link right below here in our description box. So without any further ado, here's my interview with Marina. I'm old enough to be her grandfather, and so it was like, you know, like a granddaughter in some ways. But what's incredible about this, and I don't want to give away the farm here, this is the first of a 2-part interview because it was quite lengthy. We get the other side of the aisle. We get what their truth is compared to the biblical prophetic narrative. What is the truth? Here's the interview. So I am here with Marina, and thank you for coming on Supernatural Confrontations. It's our new show, and we just try to get different opinions and different people that have had supernatural confrontations or supernatural encounters. So my first question to you, I believe, if I'm correct, that you're not only a contactee, but you're an experiencer. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes, that's fair.
Okay. All right. So the biggest question I have, some people say that you claim that you're a hybrid, or as Dr. David Jacobs would say, a hybrid. In other words, you've got what we would call alien DNA and then human DNA. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. Well, when I was a child, used to tell my parents that I was not from this planet. I was about 5 years old, and I didn't know much about life itself, but I knew a lot about my nature, and that is that my soul comes from another planet. Now, it doesn't mean that this is my first incarnation on Earth, but I will say that generally my soul originated, or not, let's say not originated, but has had many experiences in other civilizations and in other planets and star systems. So when I was 5 years old, again, I will tell my parents that I was a soul from another planet that incarnated here. And they will ask, well, how did that happen? And I said, because I teleported to the womb of my mom. and I will start speaking about the universe, about extraterrestrial life. I was obsessed about ETs. I will tell my parents that I have connections with ETs, and then I will also play my psychic abilities since really young.
So, and I've heard similar things before from other people that claim, similar experiences like you. Do you have contact with these entities? And if you do, is it telepathic?
Yes, I have telepathic contact with them, but mostly they send me information through downloads of information. So whenever I want to get an answer on whatever matter of the universe, they just give me the information
The
telepathically.
download.
Yes.
And I've had downloads too, and I know what you're talking about. They're very interesting. I think my downloads might be from another source, but we won't get into that. That's okay. Let me ask you something. What is your litmus test when you interact with these beings? How do you know whether they're benevolent, good, or malevolent, evil? I mean, is there any distinction? Are there good ones? Are there bad ones? Tell us about that.
Sure. Well, when I was initiating my spiritual awakening during my teenage, when I was about 15 years old. I remember that I had a really strong Kundalini awakening, and I will go to my bed and I will receive visits every night because I will be monitored both by negative beings and positive beings. But how I will start to develop that kind of discernment to check out if they were truly positive or negative is by sending the question, are you positive oriented? And at that moment, I felt a really strong feeling of love, the strongest energy I ever felt in my entire life here. And at that moment, I realized that those kind of entities that were with me were not negative oriented. So now every time that I want to discern, I use my psychic abilities, but I also use my solar plexus chakra because it's the chakra that works with empathy and that works with sensations rather than just cognition. So I use a combination of those two chakras to check out what kind of vibration are the beings around me about.
Let me kind of rephrase the question. Have you ever been taken against your will? Anything like that?
Yes, unfortunately, I was used in mind control programs by the governments or mind lab abductions and in the space program.
Can you tell us about that? What was that like?
Well, I got really strong memories coming to me at 16 about me being a child and being experimented on me. Like doctors experimented on me and I was screaming and I was breaking, like my consciousness and psyche was being, break on purpose. And that's when I realized that I was a subject of experimentation because of my genetics, my consciousness, etc. And I was put into training my psychic abilities in space programs, by the government, by the military, that those memories, I will get them when I was older, like about 20 years old. And I was told that I was part of the space program.
How old are you now, Marina?
21 years old.
Okay. So you're still very young. There's plenty of time to grow with this. What would you say to a skeptic? And I'll just play skeptic here. That says, Marina, can you demonstrate anything at all? Any type of, can you just demonstrate? Give us some kind of a sign that would show people that something extraordinary is happening. For instance, Uri Geller, when he came on the scene, and this goes back over 50 years, twice as old as you are. But I remember seeing Uri Geller, and I was just a kid, probably about 13, 14. So it's actually more than 50 years ago, like 55 years ago. And he was on the talk shows in America. And he would sit there with a spoon and rub his finger on it, and then the spoon would bend. Now, people have tried to debunk some of that stuff. But, when the camera's up close and you see the spoon, like I'll just use a prop like this, and he's just going like this, just rubbing his finger on it, and then the spoon bent. And of course, the audience goes, oh my gosh. Now, as a supernaturalist, I know that there are forces and powers and entities which can give people the ability to do things like that. What say you?
Well, when I was in a clinic visiting a friend for anxiety, there was a lot of people that needed advice on their lives. And I remember that everyone was a skeptic about my abilities, about my psychic mediumship abilities. And these people went to me and said, please read whatever you want about my life, private things, I'm ready to hear it. And each by each person, like one by one, I read their energy, I read their lives, and I got secrets from their life that nobody ever knew, even their friends that were close to them. So at that moment, I proved not only to those skeptic people, but my own mother, who was also a skeptic, that I do have mediumship abilities. Furthermore, I have certain pictures of abduction marks and UFO tapes that I recorded when I will see them, that I sent to MUFON, and I was tested, by an investigator to prove that I was not making it up, basically.
So is there anything you can show us during this very brief interview that we have that, would sort of let the people see that, this is all, something is happening to you? I have a completely different take than you do, but that's okay. I would caution you that maybe something that's going on here might not be what you think it is, but I digress. Is there any pictures you can show us or anything like that?
Yes, in my webpage, you can see all those pictures that I mentioned. It's www.marinaserena.com.
And we'll put that on Marina Serena. How do you spell your last name? S-E-R-E-N, right?
Seren.
Seren, yeah, marinaseren.com, and people can see that. Now, I've seen some Photoshop pictures of you where your eyes are like really twice what they are now. Why, why was that done?
Those were the camera that I had on the other phone. It was a Chinese camera. So when I will take pictures, they will automatically make my eyes like super big.
Okay.
I didn't know.
Yeah, you have sort of large eyes anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, but they're not like, the pictures are like twice the size of what we see there now.
Correct. This is my actual face features, because
Okay.
Zoom doesn't allow any.
I understand. So as we start to kind of wind down, we got about another 10 minutes, and I thank you for taking the time here. When do you think they're going to reveal the UFO, the so-called aliens, the extraterrestrials? When are they going to reveal themselves to the world? And what do you think will trigger that revealing?
Well, right now they are taking a lot of energetic readings of the collective consciousness, because they need to check out if we are ready on a consciousness level or not. Because otherwise, the idea of shifting from a belief that we're alone in the universe, from the understanding that we are really not alone, we're truly like coexisting with really advanced species, and they have been visiting our planet currently and since millennia ago. It will be such a change, it will be such an impact in our lives, in all aspects of our consciousness and civilization, that they need to make themselves sure that we are actually truly ready to receive that kind of impact. So it depends on our collective in the evolutionary spiritual path.
So let me ask you something. There have been figures, let's say, throughout history, Mohammed, Buddha, Confucius, Jesus, Moses. So what do the ETs say about, let's just pick one, Moses or two. What do the ETs say, or do they say anything at all about who Moses was, who Jesus was? Do you know anything about that?
Yes. What I got in my downloads, it's that many of these individuals that have a really great impact in our history and our collective are actual avatars of really high frequency or high consciousness individuals that are not even made of just one single consciousness, but many, like a multifaceted entity, because they represent archetypal energies of our collective consciousness. So they are meant to converge into one point, which is this avatar, so that they can share the words and the wisdom that this consciousness, this group of consciousness contain within, so that we can get the guidance that we need at the time.
So you would call that Christ consciousness, which I've
Yes.
heard like decades ago. So as far as I know, throughout all of history, no one has ever claimed to actually risen from the dead. So we've got, I'll get your take on this. I've been a student of the Shroud of Turin for ever since I became a born again, spirit-filled Christian, which is basically on the other side of the aisle from where you are as far as what my worldview is. But what I love about interviews like this, we can sit down and talk, because my viewers want to see, what you're talking about, what you believe. So this is a photograph. It was taken by Secondo Pia in the early 20s. It was the old photographic glass plate. So the shroud looks like this. That's what the shroud actually looks like. So when
Wow.
when Secondo Pia took the picture, he's in his dark room developing the film, and this is what he sees. It's a
Wow.
crucified man in rigor mortis who's been brutally and savagely whipped. Notice where the nail holes are. They're not in the palms, they're in the wrists. They go through the palm like this, and
Yes.
then come out this way. So they actually go through the wrist. So when you see this, there's not another artifact like it on the planet. I call it God's calling card. And this is one thing I want to get into. And of course, we're running out of time. So what else is new? But there's this thread of prophetic literature in the biblical narrative that goes from Genesis to Revelation. So someone, I think we can agree, somebody's outside space and time as we know it. And they're calling out these events with great specificity, very, very specific. They're not, this is what's going to happen, then here, then this. And this is why, going back to the calling card, when I look at this, I'm taken aback by it, because everything around him was prophesied. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts is that, well, that's correct. Jesus was this kind of figure in our history who was definitely involved with extraterrestrial interactions. And because of what he came here to represent, he has a strong connection, from what I have read psychically, with Sirius, with the star system of Sirius. And from what I understood is that because of the role that he was meant to have in this planet, he has been targeted by many extraterrestrial beings and consciousness, and to try to control the course of history. So I believe anything extraordinary about it, but I know for a fact that he came here with good intentions. So that's why perhaps he was crucified, because there is a spiritual battle going on right now from collectives.
Do you think it's going to be like a nuclear exchange? Which, in other words, if there's some sort of, we've been talking about this, and I've heard this for decades, that there's going to be some sort of a nuclear event, and that will trigger so-called ET to show up in the ships. Your thoughts?
Well, I was in contact with a group of ETs are connected to space programs and military, etc. And from what I was told is that they deactivated all nuclear weapons currently at the moment, because there was a lot of tension in this year. So that's information that I got myself, but it's true that there might be a group that is still trying to weaponize nuclear energy. But I believe that the ETs are not going to let us do it.
Very, very interesting, because we've heard, through decades, and I've been studying the phenomena since I was 16. So that's, literally, it's like over 50 years. I've been directly involved in the phenomena. I've written books. See, I have a different view, and we're winding it down. I'll give you the last word, but there's 2 films. You can watch them free on my YouTube channel, 1 and 2. And we're working on 3, 4, 5, and 6. I call it the coming great deception, because in my opinion, these entities will tell us that they created all life on this planet. They genetically manipulated early man. They started the world's religions, civilizations. Now at this critical juncture in human history, they're back to usher mankind into a golden age. This is exactly the opposite of what the biblical narrative states. And I mean, anybody can say anything, and I get that. But what amazes me about the biblical narrative is, once again, I'll circle back, and then I'll give you the last word, to the prophetic message which there. It's the only book on this planet that calls out with great specifics what's going to happen. There's no other book. I mean, the Urantia book doesn't do it. There's no other book. The Bhagavad Gita doesn't do it. There's no other book that does that. So there seems to be whoever this entity is, and I believe he's a holy, loving God. He does this to show that this is the real deal. What are your thoughts?
Yes, I believe that the book is working on a quantum level. So there is a certain kind of energies called telluric lines that contain quantum probabilities in our Akashic record system, which contains our history, both in the past, in the present, and the future as a probability. So I believe that whoever was behind the Bible and other, works that other artworks or literature works that are talking about history might be in fact reading information from this magnetosphere of the planet Earth that contain these events, this information in terms of frequency and vibration of events in our history. So yes, I believe it to be true.
Well, look, we're down to like 45 seconds in the interview. I'd love to have you back on. And
Sure.
thank you, Marina, for coming on. Very interesting. Again, you represent something, and this is why I brought you on, because there are a lot of people that are in your camp and look at the world and look at cosmology and what we are as human beings from your side of the aisle. And I'm trying to reach across that aisle and say, hey, wait a minute, maybe there's something else to consider, that's all. But thanks for coming on the record. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me here.
So this coming Friday, we'll do part 2 of the Marina's interview. I think you'll find it interesting. It sort of puts the icing on the cake, as it were. We are like this. I mean, I like her. She's a nice person, but we're like this with our worldviews, with our ideology. What the church needs to understand, what some of you who come here, and thank you for coming here day after day. I know a lot of people come up at conferences and say, we watch you every night. That's a real honor that you would trust us enough to bring us into your home. And if you haven't subscribed, hit the little button. But what's interesting about this is we see that Marina believes everything that she's saying. This is her paradigm. This is her worldview. This is how she operates. And it's completely, in my opinion, contradictory to what we see in the Word. And you notice when I would bring back and talk about Jesus, she has answers for everything. Folks, I've heard a lot of this going back 50 years ago when I was a New Ager. Nothing really has changed that much. The bottom line is I think that we are on the cusp of something, some sort of strong delusion. It's already here. UFOs now are all over the place. We are probably above the 15th rung on the ladder of disclosure, a term that I coined several years ago and now is being borrowed by other people. That's okay. The Lord knows what's going on, and I put my trust in him. But this thing is heating up, make no mistake about it. And with that being said, we've got our 5-box DVD set. The Lord gave me marching instructions. I have to get all these films out by the end of the year. Number 6 is on cattle mutilations. We are in post-production on that. Number 7 and 8 is a 2-part series on Roswell. And I think you'll find that absolutely mind-boggling. Number 9 of the series will be, what is the truth? What is the truth about this whole phenomenon that we're seeing? I will be at Go Therefore Conference in Ohio at the end of the month, so please check that out. You can go online, lamarzulli.net. Check the links, register. I hope to see you there. Lots of great speakers. Derek Gilbert, Sharon Gilbert will be there. Dr. Michael Lake, our very own author, and it's just great to see Vicki Joy Anderson again, as well as a host of other speakers. It's going to be a great time. They've got me slated at the end of the day, so I have an open end. I will be talking, of course, about our films, the whole UFO disclosure. There it is right there, lamarzulli.net, lamarzulli.net. Thank you for your patronage, by the way. Some of you are starting to sow into the ministry. Why? We've got all this expenses with the films. Now, if I was selling 10,000 DVDs, I wouldn't be having this discussion, but we're not. So we put out a film, we maybe sell, 2, 3, 4,000 DVDs, and that's about it. So this thing's got to go to a bigger audience, because that way the word will get out. And that's, look, the Lord redirected our steps. We were going to go this summer overseas to film. All that's been canceled. The Lord told me specifically, get these films out before the end of the year. So we're on it, like white on rice, trying to do exactly that. We're also, if you contribute to us, the money goes strictly into filmmaking. I don't take a dime from it. I pay everybody else, but it doesn't go into the Marzulli household or the Marzulli house fund. We don't do that. But we will use it for expenditures in the upcoming film shoots that we're doing, and also some of the other post-production work, like CGI and other things that we are engaged in. So if you sow into us, if you do that, if you contribute, we will put your name in the credits. We would like to thank our donors. Everyone who donates will be in the credits at the end of the film. It's a small way of us saying thank you for your patronage and believing in what we're doing. We got a couple of prayer requests. Mrs. Ray and Jeff. Ray is in desperate need of a lung transplant. I don't think he's going to get it, but what we're praying for is that the Lord would miraculously go in and allow him to breathe the way he used to, that a miracle would happen. So we lift up Ray. Father, we pray for miracles in his life, that you'd open up his lungs, that breath would go in, that things would be corrected in a supernatural way, and that you would bless him in Jesus' name. Our other person who's a little down under is Jeff. He had a mass taken out from his chest a while back. It's been slow recovery. I spoke to him over the weekend. He's doing okay. He just did 30 radiation treatments, which did absolutely nothing according to a doctor. So now he's not sure what to do. And we just pray for healing there, that the cancer would just subside and completely go away. So please lift up Ray and Jeff. Keep them in your prayers, and we thank you for that. That's it for today. We'll be back tomorrow with a very special On the Trail. I'm in Cahokia a couple of years back speaking to a docent. Some of that went into our film, Mysterious Mountain Builders, but not all of it. This is the entire clip unedited. Thanks so much for watching. Hit the subscribe button. Thanks for your prayers. We covet them. God bless you all, and we'll see you tomorrow.